Dan Williams, Survive Outdoors. Today we're going to be doing a little longer video than normal. We're doing a knife dump of some of my collection, some of that were handed down to me, and we're going to talk about laws of knives, folding knives and fixed blade knives in the United States. Gets a little funky and weird, but hey, what would be unlike laws, right? They got to be funky and weird, they're laws. So we're going to start out first with some fixed blades. This one was actually handed down. This is an OKC, Ontario knife company. They still are making knives. This is an old puppy, at least 90 years old. And it's really, actually a really nice blade. Used it. This one has been used to butcher a ton of deer. So the measurement on that blade is about 6 inches. So that makes it illegal in many states to carry on you. That and the Buck 119. This was my dad's favorite blade to approach deer with when we down them and to help dress them. Now, this is also a 6-inch fixed blade with a full tang, and it's a great knife. I personally do not like really anything in the outdoors, camping, hunting, fishing, anything over 4.5 inches. The 6-inch blades are overkill, that gets too dangerous, and you can easily, if you have a nice thick millimeter blade, you can easily baton wood with that. You really do not need this long knife. So I have some of the rules written on a piece of paper on this tree. So I'm going to, because this is too much for me to remember. So for example, in Arizona, under the age of 14, you can carry a blade 5.5 inches long or shorter, but you have to have the accompaniment of an adult. Same way, in Texas, if you're under 14, you can carry a knife also. What's also important there is, you've got to have supervision adult. Here's the thing with that law, in my opinion. I was taught at the age of 7 to shoot at 22. And if you're taught and you have the right instruction, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you teach good safety. Unfortunately, we are making a general law and rule, and we are sticking in that little umbrella people, good people, common sense, and people with no common sense. Subsequently, I can't tell you the amount of kids that I've sutured and sewed up when they've gotten cut and they did not know how to use a knife properly. So that's a problem when you do a universal law and you're still encompassing those individuals out there with no common sense and they don't know how to instruct kids. So the other thing I wanted to tell you is it's the length of the blade on a fixed blade that's important. I'm not going to target all 50 states, but I'm going to bring up quite a few states. For example, in California, you can carry blades, and they got some wild laws, as long as it's basically under 3 inches. And you're looking at, this is an ESE, fantastic blade company, made in the USA. And it's a nice little fixed blade, very thick millimeter. It looks like it's about, I'm going to say 3 to 4 millimeters thick. Very nice knife company. It's excellent, but it's 2.5 inches. So that would be fine in California. If any of you guys have been stopped or had issues with knives in some states, hey, make a comment down below. I'd love to know and hear about that story. Interesting law in Alabama. Goes back to 1857. It's still on the books. It's called the dueling law. And there, you cannot sell, lend, or give to a child under the age of, I believe it's 19 years old, if it looks like or is a Bowie knife or Bowie knife. You cannot, it's a $50 fine. Someone needs to get involved who loves the outdoors and go through and clean up a lot of these laws on the books, because it just gets to be ridiculous. What I have around my neck is absolutely it's a knife I've used fishing, hunting, camping. It's my main cook knife, one of my main go-tos. This is the Russell belt knife out of Canada. Fantastic knife. I love how it fits in my hand, and it is just a really good blade overall. And you can see from the sheath and the knife how much I've used it, a ton. It's really, really a great knife. There's a ton of states. I think there's like 40 states out of the 50 states that absolutely do not allow a mechanical knife. A mechanical knife is not one like I've showed the Benchmade where you open it up, but a mechanical knife is where there is some mechanism to open the knife. There are two types of mechanical knives for the most part. One is the classic switchblade, and that comes out the front. It is basically an OTF knife out the front. The two I'm going to show you, which I showed you in a recent short, these are out of the side. This is a buck. You press the button here, and it comes out the side. That would be illegal in many, many states. And then we have this one, which is the Cobra Tech, which also you basically just push on this top part of the blade and it comes out. And that one you can actually close with one hand. These knives, type of knives, are illegal in Illinois unless you have a FOID, Firearm Owner's Identification Card. Illinois is the only state in the U.S. where you have to have a FOID card to have these knives on you, either out the front or out the side. Now, the switchblade that comes out the front, there's two types of those. For those that aren't aware, there's the double action and the single action. The double action is where you press the button and it comes out, and you press the button and it comes back in. The single action, where you press it and it comes out, and then you have to somehow push that blade back in, and that is a single action. The single actions are a little more stronger, but they can be a little more dangerous as they can open up in your pocket. States, I'm going to go to my paper here, states where there's no automatic open knives at all. Minnesota, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, New Jersey, Maryland, and Hawaii. So, important to know. Out the front, you're not allowed to have out the front knife, and that would be Montana, which really surprises me. Minnesota, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. So, important to know that data. And I researched the heck out of this, and I found a couple sites disagreeing with each other because they are changing laws. So you got to get to the 2023 update on terms of laws for knives in the United States and what state you're in. So important to note that. Okay, so what are the best states, the most lenient states for knives? Those states would be Maine, which is very liberal with knives. They got some funky laws on concealment, though, so be aware of that. Arizona, Texas, of course, Georgia, Utah, New Hampshire, Kansas, and Tennessee. Those are the states that have the most lenient laws when it comes to knives. Your safest bet, not your most functional bet, your safest bet would be to have a knife under 3 inches. I know. But any Leatherman, and the Leatherman Free P4, which I'm a big fan of, you know, me and my concern about injuring one hand. So the Leatherman Free P4 is really nice. It has almost any Leatherman you're going to be okay with in any state. Now, like I said before, the only thing I don't like about this, I would rather have a different type of point on this, but it's fine. It works great. Used it tons. Fantastic piece of equipment. So you would be fine with pretty well any Leatherman in any state. What, in my opinion, for me, is the best fixed blade knife? Personally, as you saw, I really like the Russell Canadian belt knife. Not good for batoning wood. So what I would go with personally is I like either the Phobos, F-O-B-O-S. This is a 4.5 inch blade. F-O-B-O-S for operators by operators. Very thick blade. And works really, you're not going to destroy this knife. just not going to happen. This is a very, very, very strong, indestructible blade. It sharpens really well. I can't even remember what the steel is on this, but it is a fantastic knife. Pricey, but a great knife. And the other one, in terms of you can beat it up and it's dirt cheap, is the, you get these on Amazon. This is really a fantastic knife. I think it's out of Finland. BPS knives. It's 20 bucks, and I'm telling you, you can beat this up all day long. It's inexpensive, it's a great camp knife, and it's just a really all-around good blade to have. It's a full tang knife, works great. It comes with a sheath. Those are the two knives right now that I really kind of lean to for camping and to have a fixed blade on me. As far as venison and you're out there and you want to skin a deer, you do not need a 6-inch blade. It's more trouble. You're increasing your odds of injury. So I'm not sponsored by any of these knife companies whatsoever. Just to let you know, I wish I was, but I'm not. I am going to be doing a video down the road on foldable knives. And hey, if you like this stuff, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, would appreciate it. All right, guys, keep your eyes on the rise and your face to the wind. Take care.